Anyways, moving on. We want to talk about, some iconic matches that Rafa played in. So, what has been your favorite match of all time?
There's so many to pick from. Can I start?
Go, yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
go ahead.
because when I was asked this question, I had so many in mind, and but I'm gonna stick with one. I feel like because there were so many obstacles going into it, there were just the number of injuries. I'm talking about the Australian Open 2022 final against Daniil Medvedev.
That's so
That
iconic.
was, to me, that was
Man, what a match.
it was iconic. Like the build up to it. First of all, we can talk about all the pain that he had in Australian Open ever since 2009, where then he made it to finals, lost, injuries, lost, just back and forth. He wasn't able to find his way back to the mountaintop in Melbourne, and then in 2022 he comes into the season. No one expected anything from him. A few months before, we saw him. Everyone remembers there was that picture. His leg was in a cast, and he couldn't even put his foot on the ground.
You couldn't walk.
Couldn't walk. And then he comes into the Australian Open. Not the Australian Open. He came into the Australian swing. And then no one expected much of him, and obviously he downplayed everything. And then he came in. I think it was Adelaide. It was his first tournament, and he came in. Yeah, I'm just trying to find my game. Let me play some matches. Then let's get to the Australian Open and let's see what happens. He won that tournament.
It was the definition of bend don't break.
And then he moved in. yeah, but he won the tournament. Went into the Australian Open. And everyone's like, okay. Because it's Rafa, we expect maybe like an appearance in the second week, probably.
That's guaranteed, because he's Rafa.
Yeah, because the second week, but if you start from the round of 16, no one has high hopes. And the best thing about Rafa is you doubt the man, then he shall rise like a phoenix, and that he did. He rose like a phoenix, and he made it all the way to the final, and then. Obviously in the final, 2-0 down. This match is over. I think the statistics was it 8? The chances of him winning was it 88%, 98%. It was a 98% chance of him losing the match. So he had 2% chance to win it. And obviously, I think it encapsulates who Rafa was. And then he comes back. And then with everything I talked about, and then Medvedev, he couldn't hold on. Then he just fought back. You just knew it. He just set. Then he won the third. And then he won the fourth. And then you're like, this is his for the taking. And you can see the blows keep coming. Boom, 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 boom. Medi's coming. And he came back and he won the tournament. And then to win that Australian Open from 2009. So how many years did he have to wait for that one? He had to wait 13 years. He had to wait 13 years, and he finally got this. And then then obviously complete the double career slam at 35 years and 6 months, 7 months, something like that. It was to me, it was maybe one of the most iconic moments in Rafa's history, because it basically tells his story of he fought through so much, and he fought through the injuries, and he fought through the doubt of all the people and all the experts, and he came out on top. And then in the final, down 2-0, and he comes back, and it was like, it just, to me, that was that match, that if I want to tell someone, oh, who's Rafa, if you wanted 2 generations from now, who's Rafa, go watch that match. That's Rafa.
God, what a great match. And you could feel it coming. You could feel it build up, like after he was chipping away. Yeah. You knew, like, hey, Mehdi, if you don't put this away ASAP, you're going to deal with the beast here.
And you can't put
We
Rafa away.
when we were watching that match live, it was great. Like, we're watching Mehdi. He was too good, obviously, for the first 2 sets, and Rafa had no solutions for him. And you just felt that Mehdi's he keeps on asking the question. Rafa is he's not giving up just yet. He's losing, but he's still in there. And that third set, he kept on.
He was down a break in the third.
Just give me one chance.
He was down a break in the third set.
Yes, he was. You feel like he's like, just give me that one chance. If I can get that one chance.
He almost went down double break, because it was also love 30 after there was he almost went down double break. What kind of mental toughness does this guy have to keep fighting?
He's the mentally toughest player of all time.
It's incredible.
That's no disrespect to
anyone.
anyone.
Mehdi had taken out Djokovic in the final. He doesn't have any doubt. Mehdi's proven player at the
Mehdi was already confident that he could win a slam,
Backing up a slam win.
and he had experience with him in
If you
2019.
want to talk that Australian Open final on its own, we can have probably a discussion for hours and hours.
Oh, man.
But
So awesome.
but that one was iconic. But Haroon, did you have a favorite Rafa match of all time?
Here it is. Here it is. This is my match. Wimby 08. Wimby 2008.
Wimby 08.
Roger against Rafa.
Oh,
arguably the greatest match of all time. One of the most iconic matches ever. One of the most iconic sporting events ever. And it's crazy.
True.
Also, sick outfit. Insane. The all white with the shorts and the sleeveless shirt was super cool. That match was insane. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of like the story behind it, behind that match, and obviously it was the battle of the clay court king and the grass court king, with Roger obviously dominating everything else outside of clay and being so dominant and having, you know, winning 6 consecutive Wimbledons having that on the line, and then Rafa dealing with he's never able to beat Roger at any other surface in any other place other than on clay. So that's happening mentally, and the difference also in the style of play. You know, Roger is such an elegant player. He's so smooth. He's also walking onto the court with looking so chic and luxurious, and then Rafa's he's just one of the boys. He's rolling up with his you know, cool not athleisure, but
He was repping the boys.
he was repping the boys.
He was repping the boys.
That's what I'm saying. He's the cool guy. He's representing the youth, and Roger is representing the royal class. So that was also kind of, you know, adding that part to the story, and every match, you know, especially like they faced 2 years in a row prior to that in the final of Wimbledon, and Roger obviously was winning, but Roger is always, you know, he wins, and he finds a way to win, and Rafa has no solution there, and then Rafa comes out guns blazing, up 2 sets, and then Roger's like, hey, I'm the GOAT. I'm the GOAT right now, and this is my town. And he comes back and he wins.
Yeah, but that rain delay helped though. Those rain delays helped so much. I remember that match. I remember that.
Yeah, no, go.
No, but to me, I remember the Wimbledon 2008 final. It wasn't like I sat down and watched the match. I felt like it was an experience over an entire day.
Yeah, it was.
It was an
experience. It went for an entire day. It was hard for.
Because it was a day.
It literally was the entire day.
I know, like it's one of those matches where like you remember the day. It wasn't like a match within the day. It was an entire day. It was. If we can make that, we should make that an official holiday for that day and that match, and the way it was obviously
that was also super
best,
crucial.
People say the best match of all time.
Yeah, super crucial for Roger to come back in that match and see how he could figure out the problems that Rafa has been giving him, and just mentally having to zone in and out and come in. And just building momentum again and again, and then also Rafa had match point. In the when was it? I think it was in the fourth set. And that was a super crazy tiebreak. Rafa was up 5-2, and then he also had it at 6-3, I think, as well, or he had it at 6-2. I'm not. I can't. You guys remember the exact score?
I don't remember the exact score, but yeah, he had. I think he had match points in that set. Yeah.
You know, most people would just fumble and okay, it's over. Roger took control, and he's gonna come in, and all the momentum is with him, and then he finds a way to win it again. I can't say how amazing that match was. The toughness, the mental strength that they had to go through, and also just the points that they were playing, just brutal points, long rallies, crushing the ball, and both of them are just going for insane shots. It was so fun, and keep on watching.
I think if we wanna break down this match, I think this would be actually probably be an entire series. But
They were both so clutch, and the fact that finally Rafa broke through to get his first Wimbledon is what makes it all the more iconic. Just how he did it.
Yeah.
Just he did it the right way.
you know what stands out to me from this match, and obviously it wasn't from the match itself, but like when you watched afterwards, and then in the rain delay, in the second rain delay, and then when Tony Nadal was coming into him, obviously 21-year-old kid playing against people considering Roger going to be the greatest player of all time, and then so he needs to give. He won the first 2 sets, lost the next 2 sets, so. Felt like he need to give him something. And 21-year-old kid, he probably needs it. And to me, like, just the sentence that he told him, I don't need anything. I don't need you to tell me anything. If he's going to win this match, he needs to win it. I'm not going to lose it. Obviously in Spanish, but.
Yeah, he said, I'm going to win this match. But then he said, I'm not going to lose it. He's going to have to win it.
He said he's going to have to win it. And that's, to me, that just showed, like, at 21 years old, Rafa showed...
Iconic line.
To me, it just... when you're 21 and then you're down 2 sets, you were up 2 sets to love, then down 2 sets, you lost the next 2 sets against, people now, but at the time he wasn't, but the greatest grass court player of all time.
He was untouchable on grass at the time.
And that's what you say? That's what you're telling yourself, and you're the one who's basically comforting your coach, your uncle, that like, I'm fine, man. This is fine. And to me, that's like a core memory that stuck with me of Rafa, that he was 21 years old and he was wise beyond his years, and that never give up mentality, and just, I'm gonna fight, and no one's gonna if they beat me, it's because they deserved it. It wasn't because I did anything wrong. They're going to beat me because they deserve it. And I'm going to live with that. But to me, that was that moment when you found out that moment that happened in that match, just makes that match that much more iconic.
It was so awesome. And I mean, I encourage everyone to have a look to read Rafa's book that he wrote back in 2011 when it came out, My Story. And he talks about this match, and he talks about the behind the scenes, because, you know, in Wimbledon, they share the locker room. Like, he's seeing Roger and his team in the changeover in the rain delay, and so it's like there's this chess match of body language, and Federer was saying in hindsight, Federer's like, I saw Rafa look so comfortable in 2008 because Rafa he genuinely was, and the year before he wasn't. Roger was the one that was more comfortable in 2007, and Roger came through and won that match. And you know, he talks about in 2006 when he first stepped into the final against Roger, he said, in my heart of my hearts, he's only had 2 times where he felt like he was never going to win the match. And it was in the 2006 Wimbledon Final. He believed he had no chance. And he went from no belief, 2007, he was close. He learned from the experience of 2007 where he was close, but he let his nerves get the best of him, and he didn't bring out his best tennis.
And he cried in the locker room after that 2007 loss.
He cried unstoppably, and then in 2008 he came and he went through the best grass court player arguably of all time to the title. That's enough said. That's enough said. That says how valuable and big that win was.
Yeah. You know, also one of the moments I remember that Rafa talked about in this match, and he said it was when he had championship point, and he was serving for the match, and he had championship point, and then he said at that moment, for the first time in his life, he thought, he was like, I'm gonna win Wimbledon before the point. And then he lost the point, and then continued playing the match. And then he said that was the first time and the last time he ever thought that way.
That's how locked in he is, and that's how mentally solid he is as a player, it's amazing.
Like, he just shows you have to take it point by point and just, like you said, just lock in. And
I remember also, Yousef, when you told me that what Rafa said that. And then when we play, you know, amateur tournaments or any other tournaments in sports and stuff like that, you always told me, Rafa thought that. He never thinks about the match. He never thinks about the match point and all that. And he just plays until they call the whistle. Until they blow the whistle, and then that's the match. The match is over then. So I always remember that you always, you know, remembered it and, you know, held it strongly. Yeah,
because it's a big lesson. It's a big lesson that Anyone can use, and the number of lessons that people can learn from Rafa for sports and I guess in life, they're endless.
He's awesome.
Then Ismaeel, we said our matches. You have one?
Yeah, well, there's so many, but for me, the one that sticks to me in my mind the most, it's Rafa versus Verdasco in the semifinals of the Australian Open in 2009.
You're about to kill your brother.
The iconic white, black, yellow. Yeah, it was amazing. I know that for all the Verdasco lovers like you.
All the Verdasco lovers, how many?
I don't know how many. Maybe you only. But yeah, that was, for me, I honestly don't know if I've seen a more physical tennis match. Just how brutal it was, the shot making, the court coverage, the forehands. It's lefty forehand. It was lefties playing each other, which is weird to see, and it was just
awesome to see.
It was awesome for you. It was they were crushing the ball. The forehand matchups were insane. The rallies were insane. The number of forehand winners we saw from both players throughout 5 sets. It was 5 sets of incredible shot making, incredible quality. It was so physical, you know. In the turning point, 5 hours 14 minutes total. That third set tiebreak was unbelievable. How Rafa was able to pull a rabbit out of the hat and steal that tiebreak. Which, if he does not, he probably doesn't come through in that match. And they were both physically destroyed after. And this was a legend of a match. One of my most fun matches to rewatch. I encourage everyone, just go watch.
I go back and watch that match every now and then.
It's the most fun match of all time for me, for Rafa.
It's not the most fun match. It's the best match. It's the best match.
It was
also
amazing.
Obviously, I might be biased, but I think it is the best match ever played.
It's
two of my favorite players. They're all my two favorite players.
It was so amazing. And you know, they were both, after they were physically spent, you know, it was so hot and humid that match. People don't remember how hot it was. They were putting ice packs throughout the match. And also what you may not remember about this match is that it was 30-40. Rafa gets break point, 4-5 serving. Was on serve in the final set. Verdasco double faults. And the match ends on a double fault.
I only have good memories of Verdasco. I don't remember the bad.
But Verdasco double faults. The match ends on a double fault. They both fall to their knees. They both fall to the ground. Go rewatch that scene. Tony Nadal, after the match, said if Verdasco had not double faulted, he thinks that Verdasco would have won the match. And Rafa says in his book that he agrees. Wow. That match was so competitive and it was so high quality and it was so close. Wow. He was that close to losing. But again, it's crazy. Rafa comes out on top in these bloodbaths where it's about who can survive the most. He comes out on top. And I'll just add something else on that because the story doesn't end there. Because, of course, the 2009 Australian Open is his first Australian Open trophy.
Yeah.
After that match, he said, I came out of that match and I felt there is not a chance in hell that I could beat Roger Federer in the Australian Open final. He said, I went in. He said after the match, and match finished super late. He slept at 5 a.m. He said, I thought I was going to go into the final. I'm not going to give up the final. I'm not going to forfeit the final, even though he was brutal. You know, his knee was also causing trouble before.
Yeah.
He said, I thought I was going to go into that match and lose to Roger 6-1, 6-1, 6-2. Literally, that's what he thought he was going to do in the final. Imagine. He couldn't walk. He did not train. Usually he trains the next day. He did not train the next day. He went on the bike for 20 minutes. His coach told him to get off because he couldn't anymore. 2 hours before the start of the final, Tony Nadal had to give him a speech. He was like, Rafa, you're not going to feel better in 2 hours. You're not going to feel better. You're going to feel the same. You're going to be as stiff, and it's about you. You're either going to find the urge to fight. You might never get another chance to compete for an Australian Open trophy, and you're here now. You might as well leave everything you have on court. Lo and behold, God's magic. This man does unbelievable things. The adrenaline kicks in. He breaks Federer in the first game of the match. He finds a way to get himself in the match. And then, of course, he takes out Roger, who was at the time the king of Australia. This was pre-Djokovic owning Australia. Yeah. He takes out the king of Australia. He owns him. He dominates the tournament. He lifts the Australian Open trophy. We have the dramatic trophy celebration where Roger's crying because now, essentially, Rafa's taken everything from him. He's beaten him in Roland Garros. He obliterated him. He beats him at Wimbledon, and now he took Australia from him. The guy's overwhelmed with emotion. He wanted the 14th Grand Slam. Rafa told him, no, not today. Australia's mine this year. Just amazing story. Just amazing. This is Rafa. This is who Rafa is. This is his legacy.
That match, that was, I think, the only match where I was cheering against Rafa, because Verdasco is actually my favorite player of all time. Rafa's my second favorite player of all time. So that's where I was a bit sad. But also because Verdasco is playing amazing, and then I was like, Rafa, come on, man! Like, you can maintain this level. My guy's playing the best match of his life. Give him the win.
It was so amazing.
And then I think we were all watching that match, and we're like, whoever wins this match, they're gonna get smacked in the final.
Yeah.
And then obviously because
they go post 5 hours.
Yeah.
It was more than 5 hours.
I think 5 hours and 15 minutes, 5 hours 14 minutes.
How are you supposed to go into play in a day and a half?
Yeah, and then he came back and beats Roger in 5 sets.
Just another casual 5 against the greatest hardcore player at the time.
One of the best, obviously one of the best well-rounded players of all time. Just easy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, if we have some honor, we have so many matches though. But we want to give an honorable mention. Haroon, I think you had this one, and you were talking about Roland Garros 2008.
RG 2008 also representing 2008 year. that was crazy.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, when I was saying growing up I would see Rafa just destroy Roger. That was one of the memories. Like everybody's saying Roger is one of the best players of all time.
Even the outfit causes me trauma to see Roger's outfit from that tournament.
Everybody kept on saying. I
loved watching Roger play in Roland Garros because he would lose to Rafa. I just loved it.
And I hated. That's why I root against Rafa. That's why I didn't like playing Rafa.
I grew up seeing everybody saying Roger's the best, and then I watch him. He gave him
6-1.
He's getting eaten. What is this?
It was 6-3, 6.
For us at the time, if someone says, "Okay, Roger's the best," but then all we see him is lose to Rafa. How's this guy the best? If you show me no stats, you just show me. I just watch the TV as a kid. I look at the TV. I see Rafa winning, Roger losing. Rafa winning, Roger losing.
What would you give him? You gave him 6-3, 6-1, 6-love in that final. He gave him a breadstick and a bagel in a Roland Garros final. Who's the greatest player at the time? Roger.
It was awesome.
And he also sealed it with an like a forehand unforced error as well, just in cross court that went out.
And also, go ahead, Haroon.
No, I'm just saying, like, is this your champion? No disrespect to Roger.
He was my champion. But other than that, also, I just want to make mention of the time, because in the 2022, you mentioned the iconic match against Mehdi. He plays Medvedev again in the ATP Finals. And he was up. Mehdi was up again in the final set. He was up 5-1. And I was like, no way. Like, Medvedev is going to get revenge. I'm happy for Medvedev. At least he can like get some closure off that traumatic, Australian Open final.
Yeah.
No. 5-1. He's down 5-1. Rafa double breakdown comes back. How can you do that? That's not normal. You don't come back. Like, you do it to the man twice. Like, Rafa could have gave it to him even just out of honor. Just like, you took Australia, just leave the man. It's not real. This man's not real. He's a walking legend.
Good night. Good night. Good night. Very good night.